After making my video on SpellChess, one of the people that I played against in the video, Val, offered to show me a cool new gambit that she'd found, and I was shocked by how good it was, with brutal attacks springing out of thin air. So today, I'm going to show you the best chess gambit that you've never heard of. Alright, here we are in a game. I wish my opponent good luck and play e4. So this gambit is very interesting. After the opponent plays e5, we're going to play a normal king's gambit with f4. But after they take, we in fact play queen f3. And the reason this move is so great that a lot of the standard king's gambit responses like queen h4 and knight c6 simply fail up against this. My opponent plays c5, which is an interesting move, grabbing a bit of space and preventing me from playing d4 immediately. But here, I think I'm going to go for something hyper aggressive. I'm going to play d4. And now that my opponent takes, I'll probably play a move like c3 and try and get some sort of Danish gambit set up. So here we are. My opponent can defend this pawn and then I'll just grab this. Okay, my opponent plays knight c6 to defend this pawn. I'm just going to grab this pawn over here. And already it's clear to see the great development advantage that we have in this position. With moves like bishop c4 and maybe a sacrifice on f7 coming next, the king take. Okay, my opponent takes on c3, but I think this is very dangerous. I'm going to recapture with the knight and we've got fantastic development. My opponent pins my knight. I'm going to continue with the plan with bishop c4, eyeing up a sacrifice on the f7 square. Okay, my opponent tries to diffuse the tension by taking my knight on c3. I'm going to recapture with the b pawn, e5 here. I'm still doing great. Okay, so my opponent does retreat the knight back to g8, but there must be a sacrifice on f7 here. Okay, so I can play bishop takes f7 after the king recaptures. I do have bishop g5 check, and then the knight on f6 has to come and block, where it guards the check and also this attack. But then I can take with the pawn. My opponent plays g6. My opponent's light squares are very weak, and I am comfortable in that position. So let's go for it. Bishop takes f7 check. Okay, so my opponent accepts this piece, and now I'm going to play... Okay, so knight f6 as mentioned. I'll take this, and I believe that g6 is the correct move here. My opponent, in fact, plays rook e8 first, which is a nice intermezzo, giving me a check. I'm going to block with the knight. My opponent says that they just need to not lose now. I think that's a bit easier said than done in this position. We've got a great attack. Queen a5 looks like quite an interesting move. I'm just going to play the sensible move here, like not much thought required. I'm just going to play f takes g7 with the check. Okay, my opponent drops the king back to g8, which is a safe square, but I believe that I'm fine castling here. My opponent can't play queen takes bishop because of queen f7 mate. My opponent plays queen c5 check, which is an okay move. I'm just going to slide over to h1. And my opponent plays knight e5, which is a very nice resource in the position. I think I'm fine here playing a move like queen h5, though, just gaining a tempo on the rook over here. My opponent blocks my attack on the rook with knight g6, which is a nice move. I queen c each other, but I'm not sure if there's any tactics involved in that. I'm going to play knight f4 to put more pressure on this pinned piece. Queen c6, so my opponent definitely is trying the best to hold on. We just need to find the combination that will win here. I'm just going to go for simplification here. Rook f8 is a nice simplified move. I'll take back with the queen and play this check. And I think that bishop h6 is a very nice move. It threatens a mate on f8, and this bishop can't come forward, so the rook sees the square. Great position here. My opponent's very low on time. And my opponent runs out of time, but yeah, this is a great position for us, definitely winning. And ladies and gentlemen, before we continue to the next game, it's time for the Algo-Rhythm. Alright, here we are, got a rematch against the same guy. I've asked for a different response after queen f3 now, but I'm not sure what my opponent will play. Okay, here we are, queen f3 again, and queen h4. So yeah, this is one of the sort of responses I was talking about. It'd be fine in a normal king's gambit, but not really against this Breyer Gambit variation. We've got the nice centre here, and queen f6 is probably one of the main moves that you face, but my opponent plays queen e7, so I'm going to take the centre here with d4. My opponent says it's so strange. And we do have the nice open H file as well. Okay, my opponent plays d5, which is a very good response against this gambit. Any sort of gambit, really, just sort of opening up this bishop. Does a great job. I think I'm just going to march forward, and my queen attacks this pawn now. That could be a target in the future. Then my opponent plays c6 to strengthen the center. That's an okay move. Thinking about the best way to develop here, and I will play c4 just to put a bit more pressure on this center. And if takes, then obviously I take back my bishop, and we've got great development here. If this check isn't a problem, I'll play knight d2 and defend the bishop. And f6, so my opponent's definitely trying to break out. I think I'm going to simply continue development here and sort of dare my opponent to take. If takes, then I'll probably end up recapturing. Yeah, and then just dare my opponent to take, and then I'll play knight e2, and we've got fantastic development here. With this gambit, you've got to be comfortable in giving up a bit of extra material for your development. And here my opponent plays knight f6, so this is a solid move. I could castle kingside, That is something I can consider, but I think my king's a little bit too open. I'll play bishop f4 to gain the tempo on the queen, then I can castle queenside with a great position. My opponent says they're a little terrified. I'll tell them it's okay. Scary position. Queen c5 is good, it attacks my bishop. I'm going to drop my bishop back to b3, I like it on this diagonal, it kind of restricts the black king. And also stops black from castling kingside. Bishop g4 is a nice move, want to get out of the way of that. I think I will play queen d3 just to prepare a sort of battery on this file. Knight d7, this is a good move. My opponent is making it quite hard for me to make progress. My opponent castles on the queen side. Okay, I'm going to play what I think is a pretty good move here. I'm going to play rook h4, and I'm planning to sacrifice the exchange to then play my bishop to the e6 square, where it looks like a pretty nice fork. The knight can drop back, but then I've certainly got a lot of pressure on the position. So yeah, this is what I'm going to go for. Bishop e6. My opponent actually pre-moved it. Guess they were expecting it. Okay, so the knight drops back to f6. I'm just thinking of the best way to apply a bit more pressure. I think I'm going to take it slow here. I'm going to play king b1 with the threat of knight e4, which is going to be devastating. Oh, right. So my opponent plays b5 to make some space for the king, but this really weakens the c6 pawn. I am going to play knight e4. I think this is still absolutely devastating. Attacking the queen and attacking the knight. If knight takes, then I'll play bishop takes d7 and intermezzo that comes with check. And if the queen were to move somewhere, then I can take. The knight can't recapture since it's pinned to the king. Let's say the bishop recaptures, this knight's lost a defender again. I can play bishop takes d7 with a nice check. And I think this exchange sacrifice was a pretty nice idea. This bishop pair is so strong and my opponent's pieces are very locked up. Alright, yeah, so queen b6. This is actually the move that I analysed. So knight takes f6 and then bishop takes over here. My opponent king moves up, so the opponent king sort of saved itself. I'm going to play queen d6 really just to keep up the pressure on these diagonals, and then probably move like rook c1 next, put pressure on this pawn. So that's a pretty good move. Rook e8. I'm going to move the knight to d4 to keep it safe and also to attack this c6 pawn. So takes, I'll take with a rook. My opponent does have access to the back rank now, but that shouldn't really be a problem. I'm going to bring my king up here. Rook e2 check, I'm going to bring my king up even further. I'll block this check with the rook. Now this c6 pawn is very weak. We're very low on time here, but so is the opponent. Okay, I'll play, oh no, that forces the queen trade. Okay, that's a mistake. Oh no. Unfortunate. Maybe we could get the dirty flag going. Maybe just let's see. Yes!